Good evening. It's my pleasure and honor to introduce to you the next speaker. Christiana Eggy is a registered nurse, dementia advocate, author, and podcaster, recognized with multiple honors, including the 2024 Top 25 Women of Influence Award, the Nigerian International Advocacy Award for her tireless work in dementia education and community wellness, and the 2025 Canada's Top 100 Black Women to Watch distinction.
Good evening, everyone, and happy International Women's Day. So I have been a mental health nurse for the past 40 years, and when I came to Canada, I thought for sure, coming from Nigeria to Canada, mental illness would be treated differently. Unfortunately, it wasn't so. Because you see, mental illness, when you are different, people laugh at you. There's stigma. So I got my first job at CAMH, the largest psychiatric hospital in Canada. And I worked on the crisis unit for 10 years. And what I saw there broke my heart. Completely shattered me. Every time I went home, I complained to my husband about how, we get these people come in really, really psychotic. We settle them down. They felt better, but within a month, they came back even worse than they were. It's like, what is the government doing? We don't have enough support. We don't have enough housing for these people. This is a developed country. So when I had my third child, Alexis, my husband said, "You've been complaining so much, why don't you do something about it?" And with his help, we started a small memory care facility. At that point, I decided that I wanted to take care of people with dementia. So we started with 5 beds, and now we have 21 beds in 2 houses. While we were doing wonderful work, we used the person-centered relational care approach, the way we did it back home, how you love your grandmas and you took care of them, and it was a family. And while we were getting results, unfortunately, it actually did not make me happier, because even then, the burden on my heart got worse, because here I was caring for families of people with dementia, and the families are not coming to visit. We became family to these people. My staff will steal their husband's shoes, their shirts. It's like, "Oh, I bought a pair of running shoes last week." Well, I don't know. Meanwhile, they brought it for the young man that we're looking after. Because when I started at home, I did not only take care of older people, I took care of the 21-year-olds, the 23-year-olds, the 30-year-olds, people that society abandoned. Because even though the government has nursing homes in place, they will not touch someone with aggression with a 10-foot pole. If the family cannot care for this individual, someone had to do it. So I thought I could save the world. We succeeded though. We were able to discharge a lady in her 40s back to her husband after staying with us for 3 years. She had had an aneurysm at work, and but when she came to our home, my staff took her on as a colleague, not as a resident. And she was doing so well. The first week, the social worker came, she goes, "Oh my God, she's ready to go home." Because you see, the hospital was paying for her to live with us. She had been in this country for so long, but she was still an illegal alien. But she had a working social insurance number. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, she had a genuine card, but she was an illegal alien. And so they did not want to pay. And I told them, you know what, she can't go home yet. So when the occupational therapist came to assess her, she said she couldn't sign off on her because she couldn't even turn on the kettle. But because of the love and support she got from my staff, she was happy. She was thriving. That is what love and care does for people. Eventually, after 3 years, she went back to her husband. But guess what? Life happens to us all. The two staff that were the closest to her, one of them was in a car accident. Her husband fell asleep and grinded into the back of a truck, and she broke her collarbone. They lived in Oshawa. This young lady would leave Etobicoke and take 3 buses, train and everything to get to Oshawa to help her. Then the second staff had a fall. She did the same thing. This lady would come and volunteer at Alexis Lodge every week until COVID struck. And she couldn't come in. Then after COVID, she started coming monthly. That is one story. I have so many stories. As a matter of fact, I recently wrote a book. I do write children's books. And the reason I started writing books is it was very easy for me to sit back and judge those families who did not visit their loved ones. Especially being a woman of culture, it's like, oh yeah, Caucasian culture is not there. But that is not the case. Because you see, dementia, it's a very misunderstood condition that is caused by so many diseases, the most common type being Alzheimer's disease. When you have a loved one that has dementia, their journey, they call it the dementia journey, it's like a roller coaster. And it's like riding a roller coaster in the dark because you don't know what turn comes next. Some of these individuals can be violent. Some of them can be psychotic. You, the daughter or the son or the husband or wife that is caring for them becomes their greatest enemy because they start seeing you as someone who is either stealing from them, someone that they never want to see again. And if you don't understand that that is not your loved one, it's the disease, you start to resent them. So when they finally find a place, or you finally find a home for them, you don't want anything to do with them anymore. Or when you're caring for someone with dementia, it could be a family of 10 children. Once one person steps up, the others back off. Friends back off. Churches, communities back off. And it becomes one lonely caregiver. And because of the burden, sometimes you don't sleep. Sometimes you can't eat. People burn out. So I felt like, we all need to understand what this condition, what this disease is about, so that we can support them. That's why I started writing my books. My first 5 books are children's books, but they are actually family books because they are filled with experiential care that we've provided at Alexis Lodge. Actually, Montana State University uses my first book as part of their Alzheimer's studies. So recently I decided to write a book that actually captures everything. It's called Dementia Theory to Practice. You can have all the degrees in the world, and if you're not actually living, caring for somebody, you don't know the real thing. It's okay for you to just say, oh yeah, do this, do that, do that. So theory is very different from practice, and that is why I wrote this book. And in that book, I have 27 years of dementia care, reflecting on all the people that we took care of. I reflected on the 33-year-old who had my staff in head choke, almost killed him. He was a computer engineer, and he had an accident. He was saved by the jaws of life. He also had schizophrenia or something, and he couldn't find a home. When I heard his story, I brought him in, and for a couple of years he lived with us. He built computers. He helped the staff. He helped families with their computer problems. But on that particular evening, when I stepped out, I think I left talk about 7 o'clock, I had a male RPN on shift, and I got a call. Mom, he said, because some of my students or staff will call me mom, and there's been an incident. So I turned right back and I went. As soon as this young man saw me, he said, it's over, right? I said, yes. I drove him to the Markham Hospital where he had a psychiatrist. And what became of him, I can tell you, I don't know, because it was hard. They couldn't find him another home. And then in that same book, I have, information for caregivers and professionals. Because whether you are a nurse or a doctor, if you're not in the field of dementia care, even mental illness, they're so different. You need to know what that person is living to know how to care for them. And we need to build a dementia-friendly society. Now I call myself the village advocate, D for dementia, D for dignity, D for devotion, D for dialogue. We need to rebuild the village. Our village has become fragmented. We need to include the elders. We need to include our children, the sandwich generation. Your children can be very helpful in the care of their grandma or grandpa. We come from a culture that hides. We don't want to talk about these things. If a child does not know that grandma has dementia, she's different. That child may think that grandma hates them. Or the way grandma talks to the kid, or maybe grandma is silent or just giving them the look. And that child will internalize those feelings. And they may start becoming aggressive in school. They may start failing, or they may become depressed. So transparency is key for this disease process. And as a community, especially a community of faith, we all need to join our hands together. When you no longer see Sister Josephine, you no longer see Sister Mary, or before she stopped coming, she was different, why don't you reach out to them? Why don't you provide them with support? We are all busy. If your loved one has dementia and you cannot be a primary caregiver, what you can do is support that person that is caring for them with care. Hire a PSW for the day. Bring them some meal or order Uber Eats for them so that they can get a break. I was lucky to participate in a documentary film, Dementia in the Afro-Caribbean Community. You can find it on YouTube. It doesn't matter whether you are white or black. The information in the 3-part series is just amazing and life-saving. It's so easy to learn. Like caring is instinctual. It comes, every one of us, we have love in us. But how do we extend this love to other people that are different? Rather than sit back and laugh or make judgment or gossip about people, why don't we love them and support them? Try to know someone's story. You go to a grocery store, someone is just having a meltdown, and people are recording and stuff. You don't know what's going on in their life. We all have a story. And so, I invite you to join me in this movement of the village. Let us rebuild this village, one person at a time. Let's start having communities like gatherings, inviting seniors, providing stimulation. If you come to my home, what we do is dance. We dance all the time because music and dance is universal language to everyone. We actually participated in another documentary film called Dance and Not Dementia, eradicating the stigma around dementia through dance. You can see that too on YouTube. So the more we talk about this, I think statistics, dementia in the Black community is growing by up to, I can't remember if it's up to 500 and something percentage, like the growth amongst us. It is not a white man's disease, it's everyone's disease. It's catching on. As a matter of fact, they're saying right now, 1 in 10 people over 65 have dementia. In Canada, we have more than 700,000 people with dementia. By 2030, it will be over 1 million. 412 people are diagnosed with dementia every day. But there's hope. Science used to say there's no cure. You can't do anything about it, especially Alzheimer's. The new science is saying lifestyle change, what you eat, your sleep, your stress, community. 1 in 4 people over 65 in Canada suffers from loneliness. Loneliness, apparently, the impact of loneliness is as dangerous as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So be your brother's keeper, be your sister's keeper. We need to, support each other. We need to, especially, when they stopped after COVID, people were working from home. That really bothered me because sometimes the only socialization people have is from work. So I'm really glad that the government have asked people to go back to work. You have to be intentional about what you do. Connect intentionally, support people intentionally, learn. Just, go on Google, what is dementia? What are the symptoms? Learn how to support your friends and family. Thank you.